I'm having a really good time tonight. I missed everybody. Tonight, we're going to be talking about funding. Now, I do happen to remember talking about this, and I've been saying it all year for people that are not happy with the progress or they're not happy with the direction. I know there's people here not happy with what's going on with master modes, not happy with the fact they want their ship to come out, Banu Merchantman. There's a lot of people that are unhappy with Star Citizen for various different reasons along our journey. And I have been saying, well, if you aren't happy, stop spending money. Well, I'm sorry to say, it seems like I might have hurt the funding a bit, but I did say that I thought that spending this year would plateau. I said, I think this year that spending will plateau. And for a moment, I kind of believe that maybe we might etch out a small win. But looking at the sales from CitizenCon and IAE, we are now down, not by a lot, but we're down compared to 2022 and 2023. I would predict that we're going to finish out pretty strong towards Christmas, and we might hit 2022 revenues. But let's check out what Camural has to say, who's a German, I believe he's from Germany, content creator, about the funding, and then I will chime in with facts because I follow funding fairly close. So let's check this out.
Hello everyone, we have this very interesting thread on Reddit, the White Knight Reddit, not Reddit refunds, started by Greg Red, IE 2955 Daily Funding Tracker, Day 11, Final Day 1. Link to this thread is in my first pinned comment below. And he made this very nice graphic. This is funding in 2023 and this is funding in 2024.
Yeah, and we're not talking a lot of money. So far we're down about 10%-ish. Actually a little bit more, probably 12%. So far we haven't finished the year. We still got Christmas and we're down about 12% from last year's revenue. So we're 117 million in 2023, 102 million in 2024. It still might eke out a victory. Christmas might be really strong. We don't know yet. But interesting to me is the fact that it seemed like, look at here. Look, the biggest thing, obviously, CitizenCon. Last year's CitizenCon was booyah in your face. This year's CitizenCon, not so much. And, I could just tell you, when we watched CitizenCon, I was kind of saying that, the very beginning felt not so grandiose. The first day of CitizenCon in October of this year didn't feel like it had that gravitas like it did last year, but they ended really strong. I would suggest to SIG that you start off really strong. Last year, they started off very strong. This year, not so much, because people do not have an attention span. There were probably more people that didn't watch the second day because they felt like the first day wasn't really that great. I thought there was a lot of great things on the first day. I thought there was a lot of bumbling around, and I thought the transitions were horrible. We even had one of the dudes who was partially responsible for those horrible segues come in here during our Inside Star Citizen review 2 weeks ago to tell me that he was, in fact, a dude that I was saying is really should not be a part of the segues. And I told him once again, yeah, dude, you shouldn't be, or they should direct you better, or they should figure out a way to make those segues better. I did not retract my opinions, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's just the way things roll. I'm just going to say it like it is. But the first day was not as impactful as last year's first day. So I would say that kind of affects your CitizenCon numbers. And you really want the first day to hit so that people come the second day. The hardcore fans like us, the veterans, we're here. We're here the second day. But I can tell you my own numbers. I had so many, my views and the amount of people that were here on the first day was double or triple the amount that it was on the second day. The second day was literally maybe a third. It was a third of what we had gotten the prior day on the first day. So it is so important when you're trying to sell that you hit. right off the bat with an explosion. Like when you start, you want it to like start. And we didn't have that this year. And that's, I guess, my experience as somebody who has been in sales, as somebody who has marketed things. You want to hit on all cylinders right out the gate, and they just didn't this year. And you can see it in the numbers. Big difference. Big difference. Then moving into November here and going into IAE also, so I think more and more people are being a little bit more hesitant with their money. Good. I don't think it's going to be like Limitless said, and like a few others said in the chat, I don't think it's going to be so much so that it's going to make a dent in the way Chris runs things. I mean, we're talking a 12% deficit at this point, which is not much. I mean, we haven't even finished the year and we're going into Christmas. So like for all these people that are really like hopping on this hate wagon, like, oh, look, they're not selling as much. This is not something that makes me like look at it and go, like, let's be real. Let's be real here. They're over $100 million, okay? They're down 12% from last year's revenues, and they still got Christmas to go. They still got Christmas. So you never know. They might pull a tie. They might stretch a small win still. They might. Austin says, problem this year was the patch cycle and accompanying return traffic and social media buzz. We missed that this year. No Asmongold, etc. When that patch drops, though, it's all in the figures, no new traffic. I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that, Austin. I think one of the things that is going to end up helping is persistence. This new patch, I want asses in seats. And the wipe is going to make people start to drop off. You know that always happens. When there's a wipe, people go, oh, or people that aren't used to it, they don't understand how to bounce back from a wipe. They leave. So, like, you're going to see that kind of, this always happens. This always happens. It's part of the cycle. All of us are used to this. Like, this is, but like, as time moves forward and the wipes become like a thing of the past, and people can start to like seriously like make progression with accruing assets, having a home with their hangers, personalizing them, more features are added. I think you're going to see the numbers start increasing and surging again. I just think that's the way it's going to be. But right now, I said this. I literally have been saying this all year. Put one in chat if you've heard me say this before. I think that the numbers are going to start to plateau and you're going to have a slight dip. And this is perfectly normal. This is what it's like to be this is a business cycle. You have big climbs up, you're roaring, you're doing great, and then you have contraction. And during that contraction, you get rid of all the fluff, you do what you need, you become a leaner, meaner machine, and then you boost forward again. This is all part of the cycle. This is not anything to worry about.
Last year, October, November, were saved by FHC Lightning Sale, which came totally out of the blue. No one expected this. We were supposed to get access to FHC Lightning after we finished certain chapters in Squadron 42, which of course is not out yet. And this year, we got access to F7C Mark II and later F7E Mark II if we finished Overdrive missions. But now there's no Family Silver left. Maybe CLT will sell F8A to us. Funding so far seems to be lower than in 2023. We have to wait until this year is over.
Good. All right.
I don't want Star Citizen to fail. I want Star Citizen to become a fantastic game and a great success.
Yeah.
However, I have no trust in Chris anymore. In my opinion, the only way...
I don't know, man. Like, I'm going to tell you something. I have all the trust in the world in Chris in terms of the business model. Like when it comes to the numbers, I'm a graph guy. And when I see this, like this looks like this looks like a chart of Bitcoin. I feel like I'm looking at fucking Bitcoin breaking 100,000 when I look at this. Star Citizen revenue year over year. Look at this chart, man. It's from the bottom left to the top right, going back all the way from 2012 for Christ's sakes. Look at this. This is Chris. How can you not believe in somebody that's doing this? Am I crazy? Or am I actually looking at numbers? Am I looking at facts here? would you try and short this company right now? Like, I wouldn't step in front of this. I wouldn't step in front of this train, man. This is ridiculous. This does not look like a company that's failing to me. Like, look at these fucking revenues, man. I mean, this is the first down. If this finishes down, like quite literally, looking at this bar chart, if this year finishes down and does not hit towards last year's revenues, this will be the first down year since 2017. Let that sink in. That's 7 years ago. And you don't have trust in Chris? I don't know, Cam. I'm just saying, dude. On a in terms of business, seems like the guy's crushing it. Seems like this guy's like the fucking Elon Musk of making video games, dude. This is fucking crazy. I think it's just like a personal thing. I think it's a Chris Roberts derangement syndrome kind of thing where people just want to like hate on the guy. Who does this on a crowd-funded game and can send people take their imaginations and do this with real-life numbers? I couldn't do this shit. I couldn't do this shit. Not a lot of people could. I don't know what Cam's talking about here.
Way to save Star Citizen is Chris steps aside and lets someone take over who knows
right,
what
Ethan,
he's
right.
doing. Chris can still be the spokesperson and Star Citizen can still be Chris' vision. However, this won't happen. Also, letting good people go who know what they are doing and replacing them with cheap, young, inexperienced people who don't find enough experienced people to learn from is not a smart decision.
Listen, I'm not quite sure of exactly what he's talking about, but I know a lot of people left because they couldn't take the move out of Manchester. He made it mandatory, and a lot of people couldn't make the move across the pond. I know a lot of the reason was that. He had his reasons for doing that. Maybe it wasn't a smart business decision, and maybe that decision is the reason why the numbers are down right now. I don't know. Like, that'll reflect the numbers in the future, but according to what I see right now, seems like everything's okay. The house is not on fire here. We just keep track. We'll just keep track. We'll keep track, which I do all the time. I do this every fucking month. I go to this spreadsheet. I love numbers, and I check it out. And I say, how are they doing, right? And one of the reasons I was so vocal to people about the people who are upset is like, I'm trying to make a point to people who are upset. Stop spending money if you're upset, because if this bar were down here, oh, you best believe Chris is going to fucking do something different. But be careful what you wish for, because maybe you're not going to be happy with the outcome. I'm just saying, be careful what you're wishing for if you're upset and you don't put the money in and you don't want to spend and you don't want to pledge and you're like, fuck it. Because if the number hits so low, maybe the game doesn't get made. You know what I'm saying? So like, be careful what you guys are wishing for. Some people don't realize what they're saying. You know, they don't understand the impact that it can have on the company and the dream. I know a lot of people that are putting out clickbait hate videos one after the other because their own YouTube revenue looks like this. Because the more hate bait they put out, oh boy, that YouTube revenue looks like Star Citizen's fucking chart right here. You know, oh, what new clickbait video can I put out that the fires are burning and the sky is falling and that YouTube revenue that just keeps going up. There's a lot of YouTube people out there that do this, and then when it's so overwhelmingly positive and you got like a lot of hype out there, then they'll take advantage of that too. And then they come out with these hype videos. They literally are just playing you. So be aware of that as well.
It is not only John Pritchard who is sorely missed. Chris, still prioritizing eye candy fluff, cool cinematics, might bring you new players and new cash for a while, but this doesn't make a good game, Chris. A good game needs to be fun, needs good game mechanics, needs to be interesting and not time sink galore. You don't create a fun and interesting game by putting one tedious time sink on top of more tedious time sinks. Of course, Star Citizen is a space game. I don't want to be able to teleport all over the systems. Some things should take time. That's totally fine.
Okay.
But what Chris seems to want is we all quit our jobs and spend 10 hours a day playing Star Citizen to get anything done. I think one of the reasons so many people don't feel like spending money anymore is if progress is slow, but result is good, that's fine. But Star Citizen has gotten worse this year, way worse. State of the game in year 13, terrible, no fun master modes and 3.23. This costs you a lot of money, Chris, believe me. Terrible, user-unfriendly UI like in movies, like for example Iron Man in 3.23, which is fine for a movie, but not functional.
Listen, the whole master modes debate, both sides have great points. Both sides have great points, and it's very polarizing because it's PvP related. I expect there to be confrontation there. They're PvPers having a debate. They're trying to make their way that they like to fly the one that wins. But I gotta say again, and I've said this 1,000 times with master modes, I have seen the flight model change 6 times since starting this. I can guarantee you not to worry. If you're not happy with the flight experience, it will change again. It will continually evolve and change. So don't, like, if your whole basis upon why you're upset about Star Citizen right now is because of master modes, completely understand. However, I would tell you just be patient because it will change again. I can 100% guarantee you that the flight model will change again. Does it mean you're going to like it after the change? I don't know. You may, but it will change again. So I wouldn't say that that should be a legitimate reason for me because I've been around long enough to see it change so much that I'm like, big deal. It's a moot point. You know, so I know it's not reassuring to the people that aren't happy with master modes like Backspace and many others, right? I can tell you something that, like, I've never been happy with the physics of flight. I have not been happy with the physics of flight since I've begun and continue to play. I know that eventually they're going to have to fix it. Do you know why they have to fix it? Because it's essentially the number one ingredient for making a successful game that relies on space flight. Like, if you're flying around and you're a Star Citizen, you want to make sure your fucking flight experience is the best, right? So over time, you will continually see the flight model being evolved. It has to. It has to.
Not fine for a game. Loading our ships ourselves at outposts using a magical handheld tractor beam, while everyone can just get onto our ships and fly away in 3.24, we still have no keys, no ability to lock our ships in year 13. More than 7 years ago, Chris and Tony Surek talked about machines and NPCs helping with loading, unloading, still nowhere to be found.
Like if I have a big container ship and I pull into the port of LA here at Long Beach, there's a whole setup. There's longshoremen, big cranes, and there's service, and you know, the crew of the container ship don't actually unload the containers themselves. There's equipment that does it, and there's, you know, people that are paid to do that.
Item banks in 3.24, which are not more realistic or immersive than local inventory, but a lot slower and inconvenient to use. Green murky universe in 3.24. Chris, why did you destroy the fantastic universe view we had before? New ship HUDs in 3.84.2, where important information is not in our view anymore or not displayed at all. For example, EMP cooldown and overheat cooldown, nowhere to be found. New MFDs in 3.84.2, which have horizontal scroll bars inside the MFD. Good luck using MFDs in combat. More tedious and boring time things are coming. Permadeath, managing every little thing on our ships ourselves, changing fuses, filters, etc. Gameplay is boring. No. That I disagree with 100%. The comment where up here he's saying more tedious and boring time sinks are coming. Permadeath, managing every little thing on our ships ourselves, changing fuses, filters. All those little things are what makes this experience a great experience. Like, for people that are upset with that, that's called the fucking that's the entry. That's the bar at which you have to graduate in order to play this game. Like, you need to have this level of complexity in order to play this type of game, because we're going to need engineers that know what they're doing so that when you're flying large ships, you're not just coming in and wiping everybody out. See, this is what people don't understand. You got a large ship. For instance, take the Polaris, for instance. What are you going to take this Polaris that costs $900 real life or whatever it does in the game, and then you're just going to say, like, you're going to own it up by flying it solo? No, you're going to have the crew there. The crew's going to have to know every piece and part of the ship, and then, only then, can it be an effective
ship. Otherwise, it's just a piece of shit sitting out there on its own, being flown by one fucking person, and will get blown up. And that's the way that it should be. Can I get an amen on that? Do you guys get what I'm saying on that? You need to know. You need to know the ship you're flying. This isn't Fortnite. You need to know every corner of the ship that you're flying. If you don't like those types of things, then get a small fucking ship. Get a small ship where you can manage everything on your own. But like these things that he's calling unnecessary time sinks, I completely disagree with, because these are large ships. And in order for large ships to be effective and functional, I want them to have many pieces and parts, because I want an actual crew, just as it would be in real life. I want a realistic simulation of what a space battle would be. And in order for that to happen, there has to be fuses. There has to be small pieces and parts in a ship that actually you depend upon, so that the ship can function correctly, so that you have the right crew that know what they're doing, because it adds the realism, it adds the effectiveness. My God, being a former FC, being a former CEO of a corporation, I used to be a field commander. I used to do a lot of work with an Australian crew. And I can tell you, there were times we were outnumbered 10-1. Okay? If we want to talk about the feels in a video game, there were some times in EVE Online where we were in nullsec and we were outnumbered 10-1. I shit you not. And we won. Do you understand that? And why did we win? Because the other side did not know how to fit their ships, and they were disorganized. And we kicked the living shit out of them. Can I get an amen?
Yes, sir. Can I get an amen? Yes.
I don't want that to leave in this experience. This is why I disagree with that being this is why I disagree with that comment here. I want people to know all the parts and pieces, man. Because you can tell when you're fighting somebody who's an experienced crew, if there is a crew, number one, or if there is a crew, then are they experienced? You can tell within the first minute you're fighting people if they know what they're doing or if they don't. And I want that learning curve to be there. And this area right here where he's complaining about more tedious and boring time sinks are coming, permadeath, managing every little thing on our ships ourselves, changing fuses and filters. This is a complete fucking fallacy. That should be gone as a complaint, because my game, our game that we want is a complex game. And we want to approach a fleet, and we want to be like, oh shit, we are so fucked right now because they outnumber us. And then when we fight them, we realize they don't have the crew, they don't have the amount of crew needed, or that the crew they have are dumbasses, and we are going to legit kick their ass. Can I get an amen?
Yes, sir. Can I get an amen? Yes.
That is the best feeling ever. I can't tell you how much joy it gives me when I happen to fly up on a crew where they outnumber me and they don't know what they're doing and they're popping around me like fireworks, man. It is the best feeling in gaming history.
Bunker looks the same. POIs are copy and pasted all over the planets and moons. Yeah, even games from much smaller developers have interesting and different POIs. Players are not happy as they cannot fly their bigger ships with players plus NPCs. NPC crews most likely won't even be in 1.0. A lot of mindless nerfs on 3.24.2, for example Corsair and Redeemer, just to sell the new Paladin. 1.0 will be a minimum viable product with just 5 star systems, no alien worlds, no NPC crews, and even 1.0 is years away. Is this the beginning of the end for Star Citizen? I sure don't hope so. But Chris needs to go as soon as possible.
That is actually the worst commentary I have ever heard. There's a couple points he has there if they got rid of Chris, if Chris wasn't in this, we wouldn't even be talking about Star Citizen. Like literally, like people think Chris is so unimportant. I can't disagree with that more. People do not give Chris enough credit. Chris is the dreamer. Chris keeps the ball going. He might have way too many kind of details he gets into that aren't as important, but he thinks they're important. He's building the game he wants to build. He's hired the people that he thinks can bring his vision to life. And along the way, he's listening to our input. And along the way, he's being transparent. And you know what? You get rid of Chris, we wouldn't be talking about Star Citizen right now. And I don't understand people that don't get that. Like literally taking Chris away from this project would be like taking fucking Elon away from Tesla or fucking, I mean, like look what happened when Jobs died with Apple. No new innovation with Apple. Apple might as well be Bank of America right now, for God's sake. Apple literally is a bank with the same phone that comes out every fucking year. Steve Jobs is doing backflips in his grave right now. Are you kidding me? If you got rid of Chris, this would be gone. We would not be talking about this. Take every influential leader of any business that you know of that you think was revolutionary, and now take that leader away. There's very few businesses that survive that. Very, very few. Very few.
Yeah, I will get comments again. Oh no, Chris doesn't make all those decisions. It's not Chris' fault. You have no idea. Chris is micromanaging every little thing in this game. If there are new time sinks, you can be sure that Chris wants those time sinks. So
I don't know. Be careful what you're wishing for, Camural. Listen, dude, I am so against what you're saying right now, Camural. And again, like, I'm trying to be respectful here. I really am. I'm not trying to be an asshole, Camural. You make great content. I do watch a lot of Camural's content. I watch where he tests ships. I like his ship tests. I like when he calls out bullshit. But like for me, this video, no, I do not like this video.
But don't tell me Chris doesn't know. Me personally, I won't spend any more money on Star Citizen until CRG works on the points I list. Solutions: give us a fun flight model and ship combat back we had before 3.23. Maybe even go back to before 3.0. John Bridges' pre-3.0 flight model and ship combat wasn't perfect, but it would be a good start. Give us a decent UI, not something out of a movie like Iron Man with no functionality. You only put it in for the looks.
The UI has gotten better and better, but slightly less functional. The looks of the UIs and the MFDs are great. However, they do need to change the horizontal layouts. They do need to readjust sliders for vertical. Again, my opinion, I agree with them on that. However, like over the long run of the project, the UI and the MFDs have gotten better. So I disagree with them on some
can have a very user-friendly UI that still looks good. Give us functional and easy to use HUDs and MFDs back. Give us local inventory back. Give us a beautiful universe back, not a murky green one. Make playing Star Citizen fun and interesting, not more boring and more tedious. Less time sinks, not more time sinks, and more are coming. Give us quality of life improvements, like for example spawning directly into space stations and spaceports. Yeah, having those immersive elevator and immersive meteorites really gets old after you've done this more than 1,000 times. I think I'm like 10,000 times by now. Give us...
Again, I get it, and I understand. I get tired of it too, but like eventually what will happen are there'll be shops, and there'll be player-run shops, and there'll be areas where you just walk off into an alley and you have an opportunity somewhere to talk with somebody or make a business transaction. And so like this is just like... As long as we've been in this, like the template is set here for a lot of things to happen. This is just the bare bones. It's still the bare bones. Look at what they did with CitizenCon, how they're adding dungeons, right? They're adding dungeons to Area 18. They're going to like create lower levels, which we know they can do because every time we fall through the fucking planet, we know they got the area to attach these lower levels for dungeon crawls for people that want that NPC spoon-fed kind of content, and they'll add it. So like they'll continually add these areas, right? But again, talking about what's possible with the tech, with server meshing. So that's got to get nailed down. They can continue to add upon it. Once they nail down server meshing, they can keep adding and add more object containers. And right now, that's what they're contending with. And having a new system now does clear a lot of things up because it's going to spread the player base out.
NPC crews. Star Citizen has.
Listen. I'm going to stop this because I'm just telling you right now that there's nothing wrong with this chart other than, like, really. Limitless has been screaming. He's like, listen, dude. Limitless has been screaming, and I have been listening to all of you screaming next. And Camural, no offense, bro, but like this is not anything to point at to say Chris needs to go. Like if the thesis of this was, and I might be taking this out of context, and I might be missing something here, but like if we're using these financials and the revenue that was done this year as an example to say why Chris Roberts should be fired or let go. No, that's not how it works, man. It's a private company, man. The board cannot vote him out. There's privately owned shares. I'm sure he owns the majority of these shares. Okay. It's not a public company. I'm sure he and others that he loves have primary ownership, and he's not leaving, and he's doing a good job. And who knows? They might eke out a tie. I think they're going to plateau. Like I said, like I literally said it at the end of 2023, going into 2024, I said this was what was going to happen. Oh my gosh. Look, it's happening.
I'm in a fountain.
Okay, Pepe screaming next now.